breath. She whispered, "Will you stay while I undress?" And I couldn't resist her, soaked and trembling. The morning sun poured gently through the half-open curtains, casting a warm golden glow across the small room. It was the kind of light that made everything seem softer, calmer, and somehow more hopeful. She sat quietly on the edge of her chair, her hands folded neatly on her lap, staring at nothing in particular. There was a calmness in her expression, but beneath it, a storm of thoughts and emotions quietly raged. He watched her from across the room, unsure how to begin, feeling the weight of the moment press down on him. They had spent the night talking, long into the early hours, sharing stories and secrets that neither of them had ever spoken aloud before.
In that conversation, a bond had started to form, one built on trust, understanding, and a quiet kind of admiration.
But the morning brought with it a new uncertainty. Words that had been easy to say in the soft cloak of night suddenly felt heavier, more fragile under the clarity of daylight. He noticed the way she moved, small gestures that spoke more than words ever could, the way her fingers lightly traced the edge of the chair, the way her eyes seemed to drift toward the window and then quickly away, and the subtle tension in her shoulders. Each little movement told him that something was on her mind, something she wasn't ready to voice yet. He wanted to reach out, to speak, but feared that any word might break the delicate balance that hung between them. But finally she spoke, her voice soft, almost a whisper.
"Do you ever feel like you're standing at the edge of something?"
But you don't know if you should step forward? Her question hung in the air, heavy with meaning, and he could feel his heart respond before his mind even understood. "Yes," he said after a moment, his voice calm but steady. "I think we all feel that way sometimes. It's scary, but maybe that's how we know it's worth stepping forward."
Her lips curved into a small, hesitant smile.
"I suppose," she said. There was a pause, long enough to feel like a lifetime. Then she added, "I don't usually let people see this side of me. The side that worries, the side that fears, the side that just needs someone to be there." He felt a wave of empathy wash over him. He had known fear, loneliness, and uncertainty himself. He understood the courage it took to reveal those vulnerable parts of oneself. "I know," he said simply, letting his words carry the weight of reassurance. "And you don't have to hide it here."
Not with me.
For a moment, she seemed on the verge of saying more, of opening herself further. But she stopped, shaking her head slightly as if to gather her thoughts.
"There's."
"It's strange," she murmured, "how meeting someone can make you feel both safe and scared at the same time."
Safe because you trust them, and scared because you realize how much you want that trust to last. He nodded, understanding completely. "It's the risk we take with people who matter. But I think the fact that you feel it, that it matters to you, means it's already special."
She looked at him, eyes wide and searching.
There was a flicker of relief there, a small glimmer of connection that hadn't been present before.
It was quiet, subtle, but undeniable.
Brr. She let out a soft sigh, a mix of nervousness and comfort, and for the first time that morning she seemed at ease. The room was quiet for a while, filled only with the gentle sound of the wind outside and the faint ticking of a clock somewhere in the distance. Then she spoke again, more firmly this time. "I've spent so long trying to protect myself from getting hurt, from being disappointed. I never realized that maybe protecting myself also meant missing out on moments like this." He smiled gently, feeling a warmth in his chest. Breaths. "Sometimes we protect ourselves so much that we forget the good things waiting for us. But noticing it, realizing it, that's the first step towards something better." She laughed softly. a sound that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Better, I hope so. I really do. Her words were filled with both hope and a hint of fear, a combination that made her seem both human and remarkable in the same instant. He could see how much this mattered to her, how deeply she felt every word and every moment. And in that realization, he felt something shift inside him too, a sense of responsibility, care, and admiration. He wanted to be there for her, to support her, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely wanted to. Because he felt that connection too, the one that made silence comfortable and conversation meaningful. The morning passed slowly. They moved from chair to sofa, from sofa to the small balcony that overlooked a quiet street. The world outside was waking up, the distant hum of cars, birds chirping, the rustle of leaves. But inside, time seemed to stretch, giving them space to exist only in that shared moment. Bare. She leaned slightly against the railing, looking out at the world, while he stood nearby, a silent but steady presence.
I think I've been afraid of letting someone in, she admitted finally, her voice almost lost in the breeze.
Breath, afraid that if I do, I'll lose control. Or that they'll leave. He stepped closer, careful not to crowd her. You're not losing control. You're allowing someone to be part of your life. That's not weakness, it's courage. And as for leaving, well, I'm not planning to go anywhere. Her eyes met his, and in them he saw a mixture of relief and wonder. It was as if she had been holding her breath for a long time, and finally, she could exhale.
Thank you.
She said quietly. For just being here, for understanding. Always, he replied, letting the word linger between them. It was a promise, gentle but firm, unspoken yet deeply understood. They spent the rest of the morning talking about lighter things, sharing small stories from their past, laughing at little mishaps and discovering unexpected common interests. The earlier tension faded, replaced by an easy companionship that felt comforting and new at the same time. By the time the sun climbed higher in the sky, they had moved back inside. She had made tea, and they sat together at the small table, sipping slowly and enjoying the warmth of both the drink and each other's company. Every glance, every small smile, every shared laugh added another layer to the bond that was quietly forming. It was in these simple, seemingly ordinary moments that the extraordinary connection between them grew. They didn't need grand gestures or dramatic confessions. Shared space, the honesty, and the willingness to be present for each other were enough to build something meaningful. As the morning faded into early afternoon, he realized something important. Connections like these didn't always announce themselves with fireworks or dramatic turns. Sometimes they grew quietly, in subtle ways, in the small gestures and shared silences. And he felt lucky, no, grateful, that he was part of this quiet, unfolding story, even if it was just beginning. She caught his gaze and smiled again, a small, genuine smile that made his chest tighten with warmth. I think I'm glad I didn't run away, she said softly. Me too, he replied. Me too.
And in that shared understanding, in that moment of quiet reassurance and growing trust, the morning ended with a feeling of hope and possibility.
The day ahead was uncertain, yes, but it was also filled with promise, of conversations yet to be had, of laughter yet to be shared, and of a connection slowly but surely deepening. One patient step at a time. The afternoon sun was soft, spilling golden light across the quiet room. She sat by the window, her gaze lost in the world outside, watching the leaves dance gently in the breeze. There was a calmness in her posture, but he could sense a swirl of thoughts behind her eyes. He stayed nearby, unsure whether to speak or simply let the silence linger. There was something comforting in just being near her, even without words. For a long time, neither of them moved. He could feel the tension in the air, delicate, quiet, almost tangible. It was the kind of silence that carried meaning, the sort that made even ordinary moments feel significant. Finally, she broke it, her voice soft, almost hesitant. "Do you ever feel like life is moving too fast, and you're just trying to keep up?"
He nodded, understanding her completely.
"Yes," he said. "Sometimes it feels like we're all rushing through, and the moments that really matter get lost in the hurry. But when you slow down, even for a bit, you notice things you'd usually miss." She turned slightly to look at him, her eyes thoughtful. "I guess that's why these moments now with you feel different. I don't feel rushed. I feel seen." Burst.
Her words were simple, yet they carried weight. He could feel the honesty in them, and it touched him more than he expected.
He smiled gently. "That's because I am paying attention. I want to understand, to really see who you are, not just the surface, but everything beneath."
His words seemed to surprise her, and for a moment, a flicker of uncertainty crossed her face.
Then it softened into a small, grateful smile. She shifted slightly, crossing her legs and leaning back against the wall. "I've met people before," she said, her voice quieter now. "But no one ever made me feel like it was okay to just be myself. Like I didn't have to hide the parts of me that are messy or scared." "That's because those parts matter," he replied.
They're what make you, you. And anyone who truly cares will see that as a part of the story, not something to hide. She laughed softly, a sound that seemed to brighten the room.
"You make it sound so simple," she said. "But it's not. Beck, most people don't understand that. Most people run away from the real parts of you." "I know," he said, leaning back slightly, thoughtful. "I've seen it too, but I think it's also about timing. Sometimes the right person shows up at the wrong time, or we're not ready yet. But when the timing is right and the person is patient, that's when something meaningful can begin." She nodded slowly, absorbing his words. There was a quiet intensity in her gaze now, a mixture of curiosity and hesitation. "Do you ever feel scared to let someone in?" she asked. "Every time," he admitted honestly. "Letting someone close. Bet it's a risk. But I've also learned that the people worth the risk make the fear worth it." Desperation. They make the uncertainty feel like it's part of the adventure, not just a danger.
Her eyes softened, and she looked down at her hands, folding them in her lap.
"I want to believe that," she whispered. "I want to trust, but it's hard." "I've been disappointed before, and I guess I'm afraid it will happen again." "I understand," he said gently. And it's okay to be afraid. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're aware. Being careful is fine, but don't let fear stop you from experiencing the moments that could change everything. The room was silent again, but this time the quiet wasn't tense. It felt comforting, like a blanket wrapping around them both. He could sense that she was thinking, weighing his words, feeling the truth in them even if she wasn't ready to say it aloud. After a while, she looked up at him with a tentative smile. "You make it sound like I should just take a chance," she said, her voice lighter. Not just take a chance, he corrected gently. I'm saying you can. You can choose to let someone in, carefully, slowly, on your terms. Beck. And you don't have to do it alone. I'll be here. She looked away for a moment, then back at him, her eyes shining with a mix of hope and nervousness. You really mean that? I do, he said simply. Bay. I mean it with everything I have. I'm not perfect, and I don't have all the answers. But I'll be honest. I'll listen, and I'll try to be someone you can trust.
Her shoulders relaxed slightly, and she let out a long breath.
I think I want to try, she said quietly, almost to herself. I don't want to miss out just because I'm scared. He smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. Then we'll take it one step at a time, he said. No rush. No pressure. Just moving forward together. For the next hour, they talked about lighter things, sharing small stories and personal memories. She told him about a favorite childhood memory of visiting the park with her siblings, laughing at how her older brother always tried to win every game, even when he was clearly losing. He shared a memory of a childhood adventure where he had gotten lost during a hike and how a stranger had helped him find his way home. Each story was simple, yet it built a bridge between them, making the connection stronger. As the afternoon continued, they moved to the small balcony where the breeze carried the scent of flowers from the street below. She leaned on the railing, looking out at the world, while he stood close by, watching her in quiet admiration. "But I like this," she said softly. "Just being here. But talking. Watching the world go by without worrying about anything else." "Pay. Me too," he replied. "Sometimes the simplest moments are the ones we remember most." She nodded, a soft smile playing on her lips. It's funny, isn't it? How meeting someone can make ordinary moments feel extraordinary. He returned her smile. It's not funny, Pay. It's real. That's the magic of connection. When two people just click without needing anything grand or dramatic. The small things suddenly feel meaningful. Bed. The sun began to dip lower, casting long shadows across the balcony. She shivered slightly in the evening chill, and he instinctively handed her his jacket. She accepted it with a grateful smile, and the gesture felt natural, effortless, like it had always belonged in the flow of their growing companionship. As the light faded, she turned to him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the setting sun. I feel safe, she said quietly. Not because nothing can go wrong, but because I trust you. That's all I can hope for, he replied. To be someone you can trust, no matter what happens. There was a pause, filled with understanding, comfort, and a gentle kind of anticipation for the moments yet to come. They didn't need to speak. The connection was palpable. It existed in the shared silence, the small gestures, and the feeling of being understood without words. The evening crept in slowly, bringing with it the quiet sounds of the city winding down. They stayed on the balcony for a while longer, enjoying the calm, the warmth, and the growing trust between them. Each passing minute added depth to the bond they were forming, layer by layer, moment by moment. When they finally stepped back inside, it was with a quiet understanding that this day, this afternoon, had changed something between them. It was no longer just two people in the same space. It was two people who had begun to trust, to open up, and to connect in a way that felt meaningful and rare. She looked at him, a small, genuine smile on her face. I'm glad I stayed, she said softly. Me too, he replied, And in that simple exchange, a promise was made, not in grand words or dramatic gestures, but in the quiet certainty that they were both ready to take the next steps together, carefully, honestly, and with hope. The next morning arrived quietly, the soft light of dawn filtering through the curtains and painting the room in gentle shades of gold. She stirred awake slowly, stretching her arms above her head, feeling the calm energy of the new day. The events of the previous day lingered in her mind. The laughter, the shared stories, the unexpected warmth she had felt around him.
It was as if something important had shifted, quietly but undeniably between them.
Best. He was already awake, sitting near the window with a cup of tea in hand. The steam curled upward, carrying a faint scent of honey and herbs. When she saw him, she smiled, a small, natural smile that made him look up immediately.
Good morning, she said softly.
"Good morning," he replied, his voice calm but full of a quiet energy that made the simple greeting feel meaningful. "Did you sleep well?"
For the most part, she answered, adjusting herself on the chair.
Though I kept thinking about yesterday.
Bear. He nodded, understanding perfectly. "It was a good day," he said. Break. Simple but important. His eyes held a warmth that made her feel instantly at ease. There was no judgment, no pressure, just a sense of understanding that had begun to grow between them. Bay. She hesitated for a moment, then spoke, her voice a little unsure. "Do you ever wonder if people like us, if moments like this, are rare? Like we're lucky to find them before life changes everything?" He thought about her question, letting it settle in the quiet morning. "I do," he admitted. "But maybe that's the point. Maybe we notice them because they are rare, because they don't happen all the time. That's what makes them so valuable. And when they do happen, we hold on to them, we appreciate them, and we let ourselves grow through them."
Her eyes softened, reflecting both relief and thoughtfulness.
"I think I've been holding back for so long, afraid that if I let someone in it might all disappear, but..." Breath. "Yesterday made me realize that it's worth trying, even if there's a chance of getting hurt." He reached out gently, placing a hand near hers on the table. "Bud." "Not touching yet, but close enough to show presence and support." "Exactly," he said. It's never about avoiding all pain or fear. It's about finding someone who makes the effort to stay through it. Bass. Someone who values the connection enough to nurture it, step by step. For a long moment, she just looked at him, taking in his words. There was a vulnerability in her gaze, a careful trust that she was extending, and he felt the weight of it. Not the heavy kind of burden, but the delicate kind that comes when two people are slowly building something meaningful. She finally smiled, a small, genuine smile. "You make it sound so possible. Like maybe it's not just about luck or chance. Maybe it's about choice, too." "Deske!" "It is about choice," he agreed. "Every day, every moment, we choose whether to protect ourselves or to connect. Best. And every time we choose connection, we grow a little, even if it's scary." The morning passed in quiet conversation and comfortable silence. They shared breakfast, simple and unhurried, enjoying each other's company without distraction. She told him about a small incident at work, a funny misunderstanding that had left her colleagues laughing, and he laughed along, genuinely entertained, sharing a similar story from his own life. Their laughter filled the room, lightening the air and reinforcing the bond that was quietly forming between them. After breakfast, they decided to take a walk outside. The air was fresh and cool, carrying the faint scent of flowers from nearby gardens. They walked slowly, side by side, occasionally speaking, and sometimes just listening to the sounds of the world around them. The quiet companionship felt natural, unforced, and comforting. As they walked, she spoke about her hobbies, her favorite books, and a few dreams she had kept private for years. He listened with genuine interest, asking questions that showed he cared, not out of curiosity alone, but out of a desire to truly understand her. And when he shared his own passions, she listened attentively, nodding and smiling, making him feel seen in the same way he had made her feel seen the day before.
At one point, they reached a small park with a winding path and a quiet pond.
Ducks swam lazily across the water, and a few children played nearby, their laughter echoing softly in the open space. They sat on a bench near the pond, and she sighed, leaning back and looking up at the sky. I forget how peaceful it can be to just sit and do nothing, she said softly. Most of the time, life feels so rushed. He nodded. That's why moments like this matter. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos, but slowing down, noticing the small details, that's where the real beauty is. They watched the ducks for a while, occasionally commenting on their funny movements or playful quacks. The simplicity of the moment was powerful. No grand gestures, no dramatic confessions, just two people, sharing a peaceful space, growing closer without even realizing it. After some time, she turned to him, her expression thoughtful. I've been thinking, she said slowly, about trust and about how easy it is to assume people won't stay, that connections are temporary. But yesterday, today,
It's made me realize that maybe the people who truly matter will be patient enough to prove it.
he reached out, lightly touching her hand this time, and she didn't pull away. The contact was gentle, reassuring, a silent promise of understanding and support. You're right, he said. It's not about rushing or forcing anything.
It's about patience, respect, and choosing to stay, even when it's not easy. Her smile returned, more confident this time.
Bang. I want to keep trying, she said quietly, her voice carrying both determination and hope. Even if it scares me, even if I'm unsure, because it feels worth it. And it is worth it, he said. Every step we take together, every moment we share, makes it worthwhile. It's not about perfection, it's about effort, care, and connection. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow over the park, they slowly made their way back toward the streets. Along the way, they continued to share stories, small observations, and thoughtful comments. Psst. Each conversation, each shared laugh, each gentle look added to the sense of trust and connection between them. By the time they returned to her apartment, the sky was painted with hues of orange and pink. They stood outside for a moment, neither of them wanting the day to end too quickly. Today was good, she said softly. Simple but good. It really was, he agreed. Sometimes simple is better. It's authentic, real, and memorable in its own way. Psst. She nodded, a quiet smile on her lips. I think I'm learning that I don't have to be afraid all the time, that it's okay to trust, to open up, and to let someone in. Psst. And I'm learning too, he said. That connection grows in the quiet moments, the ordinary times, and the small choices we make every day. They exchanged a small, comfortable goodbye, each feeling a sense of anticipation for what was yet to come. The day had been quiet, simple, and filled with meaning in ways neither of them had expected. And as they went their separate ways, they carried with them the memory of laughter, conversation, and a slowly blossoming trust that felt strong, genuine, and rare. That night, as she lay in bed, she reflected on the day. the trust she had begun to feel, the connection that had grown quietly but powerfully. It made her heart lighter, more open, and filled with hope. Wow. She realized that life wasn't always about grand gestures or dramatic changes. Sometimes it was about the quiet moments, the small choices, and the gentle care that two people could share. And somewhere else, he thought of her, too, replaying their conversations, the small laughs, and the gentle moments of understanding. He knew that the bond forming between them was something worth nurturing, something worth protecting, something worth exploring, carefully, patiently, and honestly. They didn't know what the future held. Breath. There were uncertainties, fears, and moments yet to be faced, but they also knew that they had found something rare, a connection built on trust, patience, and genuine care. And that knowledge, more than anything, gave them both hope for the days to come. The following morning began with a gentle rain. The soft patter of raindrops against the windows created a quiet, almost meditative atmosphere. She sat near the window with a warm mug of tea in her hands, listening to the rhythmic sound and watching the water ripple along the glass. There was something soothing about the rain. It made the world feel smaller, slower, and easier to understand. She found herself thinking about him and the way their connection had been growing, quietly but steadily, over the last few days. He knocked gently on the door before entering, holding his own cup of tea. His presence was calm and familiar, and she felt an immediate sense of comfort seeing him. "Good morning," he said softly, smiling. "Good morning," she replied, returning his smile. "I is my great son." "I didn't expect rain today. It makes everything feel peaceful, though." "It does," he agreed, walking over and sitting near her. "I like days like this. They give us a chance to slow down, to think, and just be." They sat together in comfortable silence for a few moments, sipping their tea and listening to the rain. The quiet felt natural, not awkward, as if the presence of each other was enough. After a while, she spoke, her voice thoughtful. "I've been reflecting a lot about the past few days and about myself. I think I've been afraid of letting people in for so long that I almost forgot what it felt like to connect." He nodded gently. "It's normal to feel that way," he said. "Best. Life teaches us caution, especially when we've experienced a disappointment or loss. But it also gives us opportunities to try again, to trust again when the moment is right." Bah. Her eyes met his, and for a moment the world outside the window seemed to fade.
You make it sound so easy, she said softly.
"But I know it's not. Every time I open up, I feel exposed, vulnerable, like I'm stepping onto a bridge without knowing if it will hold." That's what makes it brave," he replied. "Being vulnerable isn't weakness. It's courage. And the people who are worth it will step onto that bridge with you, carefully and patiently, making sure you feel supported every step of the way." There was a clarity in what he said that she hadn't felt before. For the first time in a long while, she felt that opening herself up wasn't a risk to be feared, but a possibility to embrace. After finishing their tea, they decided to go for a short walk, even though the rain had slowed to a light drizzle. They grabbed umbrellas and stepped outside, the cool air refreshing and invigorating. The streets were almost empty, the rain keeping most people indoors, which made the walk feel peaceful and intimate. They walked slowly, side by side, sharing small observations about the droplets of water clinging to leaves, the reflections on the wet pavement, and the gentle way the clouds moved across the sky. Vast. At one point, she stopped to watch a small bird perched on a branch, shaking the rain from its feathers. "Look at that little bird," she said softly, pointing it out. It doesn't care about the rain. It just lives its life, moves through it as it comes.
That's a good way to think about it, he said.
Life brings challenges, moments that feel uncertain or uncomfortable, but we keep moving. We adjust, we adapt, and sometimes we find beauty in the process. She smiled, feeling a sense of calm she hadn't experienced in a long time. I think I've been holding myself back from noticing the beauty. Always worried about what could go wrong, instead of appreciating what's happening now. That's why moments like this matter, he said gently. They remind us to pause, to notice, and to feel, to really be present. They continued walking, and eventually found themselves near a small, quiet park. The trees were glistening from the rain, and the air smelled fresh and earthy. They sat on a bench under a large tree, the leaves providing shelter from the drizzle. She leaned back, letting out a soft sigh of contentment. I feel peaceful, she said quietly. Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, even if just for this moment. Brow.
That's what being present does, he said. It reminds us of the simple joys, the quiet moments that often get overlooked. They talked about their dreams and hopes for the future, sharing thoughts they hadn't voiced before.
She spoke about ambitions she had quietly nurtured for years, things she had always been hesitant to pursue, fearing failure or disappointment.
He listened with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions, encouraging her gently without pushing. In return, he shared his own aspirations, the lessons he had learned along the way, and the little victories that had shaped him. The conversation deepened their connection, creating a sense of trust and understanding that neither of them had expected. They laughed over small anecdotes, shared quiet reflections, and sometimes just sat in silence enjoying the comfort of being together without the need for words. After a while, she turned to him with a thoughtful expression. I've realized something, she said. Connection isn't just about sharing the big things. It's about noticing the little things too, the small gestures, the quiet support, the moments when someone shows up for you without being asked.
He nodded, reaching out to lightly touch her hand.
Exactly. It's those small moments that build trust and understanding. That's where real relationships grow. Quietly and steadily. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of gratitude and wonder. I think I've been searching for that for a long time, she said softly. And now it feels like I'm starting to find it.
They stayed in the park until the rain had almost stopped completely.
The clouds began to break, letting streaks of sunlight filter through, casting a warm glow across the trees and puddles. It was a perfect, quiet moment, filled with calm and clarity. She felt a sense of hope she hadn't felt in years, a belief that trust, connection, and understanding were possible, even after disappointment. As they walked back toward her apartment, the streets now glistening in the aftermath of the rain, they continued to share thoughts, observations, and quiet laughter. Every word, every smile, every glance strengthened the bond that was forming between them. Bow. She realized that trust and connection weren't built in a single moment, but through consistent care, understanding, and patience. Back inside, they settled in the living room with a warm blanket and cups of cocoa, the perfect way to end a rainy day. But Despo softly, reminiscing about small moments from their childhoods, sharing favorite memories, and discussing the little things that had shaped who they were. Each story revealed new layers of personality, humor, and emotion, and with every shared experience, they felt closer. She felt a sense of contentment she hadn't known in a long time. For the first time in years, she realized that it was possible to trust someone, to open up and to feel seen and appreciated without fear. She glanced at him, noticing the calm smile on his face, the way his eyes lit up when he listened, and the gentle way he moved through the space around her. She felt a quiet certainty that this connection, this bond, was something rare and meaningful. As the evening settled in, she stood by the window once more, looking out at the now clear sky and feeling a sense of gratitude. Today was more than I expected, she said softly. I didn't realize how much a simple day could matter. He joined her at the window, nodding. Sometimes it's the ordinary days, the quiet moments, that mean the most. They remind us of what's real, what's important, and what's worth holding on to. She looked at him, smiling. I think I'm starting to understand that it's okay to trust, to open up, and to feel. And I'm learning too, he said quietly. Bad. That connection grows not in grand gestures, but in small, thoughtful moments. That's where it becomes real. They stood together for a while, silently watching the sky, the city, and the world beyond. The calmness, the quiet trust, and the shared presence created a bond that felt steady and reassuring. It was a moment they both knew they would remember. A day that would remain etched in their minds as a turning point. A moment where patience, understanding, and gentle care had begun to form something extraordinary. And as the evening grew darker and the city lights began to twinkle, they both felt the same quiet certainty that this connection, nurtured with care and honesty, was only the beginning of something meaningful, something rare, and something worth cherishing.